Most people run from failure as if it were a deadly disease. But what if I told you that failure is not your enemy? It's your mentor. Napoleon Hill once said, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Think about that. Every loss, rejection, and disappointment you've faced was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to train you. You're about to discover the secret behind how the most successful people in history, and from Henry Ford to Thomas Edison, turned their failures into stepping stones for greatness. This isn't a motivational cliché. It's a mental law, and when you understand it, failure stops being a wall and becomes your fuel. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The hidden law behind every failure. Failure as a divine design. Failure is not chaos, it's precision in disguise. Every defeat, every closed door, and every shattered plan follows an invisible law of growth that Napoleon Hill called the seed of benefit. According to Hill, every setback carries within it the blueprint for a greater success. Most people never find that blueprint because they stop searching the moment pain arrives. But pain was never meant to paralyze you. It was meant to propel you. Think of failure as nature's way of editing your path. When something collapses, it's not punishment, and it's realignment. The universe removes what is weak so that only what is strong can remain. Thomas Edison didn't fail 1,000 times. He refined his method 1,000 times until truth appeared. Hill saw this not as luck, but as a spiritual law. Persistence awakens hidden intelligence. Every fall is feedback. Every rejection is direction. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The emotional alchemy of defeat. The strongest people are not those who never fell. They are those who learn to transmute pain into power. Hill wrote that emotion is energy in motion, and when properly directed, it becomes the very fuel of greatness. Most people allow defeat to drain their spirit, but the rare few, the ones who rise again, use that same emotional charge to build something new. Every heartbreak, loss, or humiliation carries emotional energy. That energy can either burn you or build you. The difference lies in perception. If you see defeat as the end, it crushes you. If you see it as the beginning, it transforms you. The human mind, Hill said, has the divine ability to reinterpret reality. You can choose the meaning of your suffering. When you decide that pain is not an obstacle, but an initiation, the alchemy begins. Defeat stops being a curse. It becomes the crucible where your next victory is forged. Failure, then, is not life's rejection of you. It's life's invitation for you to evolve. Every fall is a test of your spiritual strength, to see whether you will surrender or rise, whether you will curse the darkness or light your own fire. Chapter 2. Reprogramming the mindset of defeat. From Why Me to What's Next. The first reaction to failure is always emotional. We feel betrayed by life, disappointed in ourselves, or angry at circumstances. But Napoleon Hill taught that the way you think about failure determines what it becomes. If you see it as an ending, it kills your potential. If you reframe it as feedback, it becomes a teacher. Most people waste precious time asking, "Why did this happen to me?" That question anchors them in the past. The winners, however, ask, "What's next?" and move forward. The mind, Hill explained, is like a magnet. It attracts evidence to support its dominant thought. When your dominant question is, "Why me?" your mind searches for excuses and guilt. When your dominant question is, "What's next?" your mind looks for solutions and strategies. The change begins with awareness. You must consciously shift your mental lens from self-pity to self-direction. Every time you catch yourself complaining, pause and reframe. Replace despair with curiosity. The person who asks better questions builds a better future. Failure is never final unless you make it mental. The moment you choose curiosity over fear, you begin to master the very force that once controlled you. The power of faith applied. Faith is more than belief. It's a mental state that transforms thought into action. Napoleon Hill defined faith as the eternal elixir that gives life. power and action to the impulse of thought. In times of failure, faith becomes your internal compass. When logic offers no map, when your plans collapse, faith whispers, you can rebuild. When your confidence dies, faith resurrects it through repetition and vision. Hill insisted that faith can be created through self-suggestion. You don't wait to feel strong. You speak strength until you become it. Stand in front of a mirror and declare, this setback is temporary. My destiny is permanent. At first it may sound hollow, but repetition plants belief, and belief grows into behavior. Faith is not blind optimism. It's mental discipline. It's the ability to keep acting when nothing yet makes sense. Every time you choose faith over fear, you reprogram your subconscious mind to expect victory instead of defeat. In the laboratory of the mind, failure becomes raw material, and faith becomes the fire that forges it into success. Chapter 3. Using failure as fuel, emotional energy is never wasted. Energy never disappears. It only changes form. Every disappointment, every rejection, every painful failure carries a massive amount of emotional energy. Most people let that energy decay into self-pity, guilt, or anger. But the masters of achievement, those who understand Napoleon Hill's laws, learn to redirect it. Hill taught that emotions are nature's raw materials for creation. You can burn that emotional energy destructively, or you can channel it into something meaningful. The pain of failure can become a laser beam of focus if you harness it consciously. Anger can become fuel for discipline. Sadness can become empathy. Frustration can become creativity. Your emotional energy is your most powerful resource. When you face failure, do not suppress your emotions. Transform them. Write, create, build, train, speak, move. Movement transmutes energy. The worst mistake is stagnation. When you stay still, pain festers. When you act, pain transforms. Hill's great discovery was that the human mind can turn emotional energy into constructive power. What others call breakdowns, you can turn into breakthroughs. The more intense the emotion, the greater the potential energy for transformation, if you choose to use it. The law of persistence. Persistence is the bridge between failure and triumph. Hill observed that nearly every person quits at the edge of victory, one effort away from breakthrough. Failure, he said, tests the strength of your desire. If your goal dies with one defeat, it was never a true desire, only a passing wish. The law of persistence demands that you stand again, not because success is guaranteed, but because quitting is. Every no brings you closer to the yes that will change your life. Every rejection is a test to see whether your faith is real or conditional. Edison, Ford, and Lincoln, each of them endured waves of failure before creating history. What made them different was not intelligence or luck. It was persistence driven by purpose. Persistence turns failure from an event into evolution. When you act despite the pain, you transform defeat into discipline. Each repetition rewires your nervous system. Each small act of courage rebuilds faith. Eventually, the universe bends to the will of the one who refuses to quit. So when life knocks you down, rise one more time, not to prove the world wrong, but to prove to yourself that your spirit cannot be broken. Chapter 4. Building Strength Through Adversity. The mastermind principle. No one conquers adversity alone. Napoleon Hill's mastermind principle is one of his most profound teachings. The idea that two or more minds working in harmony create a third mind, a spiritual energy greater than any individual could produce. Failure becomes lighter when shared with those who see beyond it. When you fall, isolation amplifies pain. But when you unite with others who possess faith, courage, and optimism, their vibration uplifts you. Hill wrote, "No mind ever becomes truly great without the influence of other minds." The mastermind is not merely about partnership. It's about amplification. Your vision grows clearer when reflected in the belief of others. Every successful person has a circle of strength, people who refuse to let them quit. When your confidence collapses, borrow faith from the group. When your energy fades, let their belief reignite yours. In the chemistry of human minds, faith multiplies by connection. That is how adversity becomes a collective classroom for growth. Self-discipline, the hidden muscle. Discipline is the invisible muscle that transforms pain into power. Most people lose to adversity, not because they lack talent, but because they lack control over themselves. Hill taught that self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. You cannot command circumstances until you command your emotions. When everything falls apart, discipline is what keeps you aligned with purpose. It means waking up early when failure whispers, "Stay down." It means showing up to your vision when results are nowhere to be seen. Discipline is the decision to act according to purpose, not emotion. Adversity, in its wisdom, trains this muscle. Every difficulty asks, will you react or respond? The reactive person repeats pain. The disciplined one refines it. Hill believed adversity was nature's gymnasium for the soul. Each hardship is a weight designed to build inner strength. Without resistance, there is no muscle. Without adversity, there is no character. When you embrace hardship instead of escaping it, you evolve. Self-discipline converts chaos into order, emotion into energy, and failure into foundation. The one who controls himself controls his destiny. Every act of discipline declares to the universe, I am ready for more. Chapter 5, The Victory Within the Defeat. The Invisible Seed. Hidden inside every failure lies a seed, small, silent, and powerful. Napoleon Hill called it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. It is invisible to the eyes, clouded by disappointment, but it is always there, waiting for attention. The moment you choose reflection over regret, that seed begins to grow. Failure is not an event, it's a process of germination. Every time something breaks in your life, something new is being born beneath the surface. When a seed is buried, it looks like death. Yet beneath the soil, it's preparing for resurrection. The same is true for you. The collapse you experience today is often the construction site of tomorrow's success. Hill wrote that temporary defeat is nature's way of testing sincerity. If you truly desire success, you will search through the ashes of failure until you find the lesson glowing like an ember. That ember is the seed, the insight, the habit, or the new perspective that could change everything. The greatest transformation happens not when you avoid the fall, but when you rise with new understanding. Turning pain into purpose, pain, when ignored, becomes poison. But when transformed, it becomes purpose. The people who move the world are not the ones who avoided suffering. They are the ones who used it. Napoleon Hill understood this truth deeply. He said, strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. When you allow your pain to educate you, it becomes your teacher. When you allow it to inspire you, it becomes your message. The speaker who uplifts millions was once the person who cried alone in defeat. The entrepreneur who changes lives once doubted his own worth. The leader who ignites nations once failed in silence. Their pain didn't vanish, it evolved. Every time you share the wisdom born from struggle, you convert personal tragedy into collective strength. That is how defeat turns into destiny. The ultimate victory, Hill taught, is not material, it's spiritual. It's the realization that no external loss can diminish your internal power. The real triumph is self-mastery, to stand before failure and say, you shaped me, but you did not break me. When you reach that point, failure no longer defines you. It refines you. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Napoleon Hill revealed that life never takes something from you without giving you the opportunity to become more in the process. Every fall you've endured, every rejection that broke your heart, every door that slammed shut, all of them carried a lesson you were meant to claim. So here is your challenge. Take one failure from your life, the one that still hurts, and write down 3 things it taught you. Then ask yourself, how can I use this lesson to move forward today? That single act turns theory into transformation. Hill taught that thought, backed by faith and action, becomes reality. The moment you act on what you've learned, failure loses its power over you. It no longer defines your limits. It expands them. You are not the same person who once fell. You are stronger, wiser, and infinitely more capable. Remember, your scars are not signs of weakness. They are the symbols of your rebirth. Now rise, because the world needs the version of you that failure tried to hide.